This is a bit of a weird one to talk about because it's kind of like there's not much to sink your teeth into, right? It's not super great. It's not super bad. It's just kind of there. It's not like anything is wrong with Mario 3D Land. Quite the contrary. One of the things I like most about it is the fact that I forgot to put my score right up front like I usually do. So, core story, obvious, thumbs down. Story presentation, thumbs down. Core gameplay, thumbs up. Gameplay presentation, thumbs up. I mean, that's what most people consider a Mario should be, right? Positives first, right? We start with positives. The game approaches its design in a way that's gonna sound like, well, that just sounds like every other Mario game, but I swear it feels differently when you're actually sitting down and playing it. Its levels are bite-sized. Each level is like its own little isolated mini-game that you're just supposed to play kind of on its own over here, right? That makes sense. It's the design mentality they had going into it, is they wanted to have this kind of handheld experience. You pop open your DS, play a level, and you close your DS, or you play a second level or whatever. That works. Almost every stage is inventive and interesting and fun. They do cool stuff all over the place. It's almost rapid fire, especially when you sit down and play it all in one group. And that's fine, and that's cool. I will say it doesn't approach the level of creativity of, say, Galaxy 1, or especially Galaxy 2, or 3D World. But it still does do a lot right. I enjoy the power-ups. I enjoy the ability to warp around just at will. I enjoy a lot of the aesthetics of it. They do something really neat with the camera. They actually had to invent, not the first time I said this about a Mario game, a whole new camera mechanic in order to have the camera try to keep in place what exactly you need to be doing at a given point in time, because one of the biggest pieces of feedback they got about in previous games, including 64 on the DS, was that the screen is so small. Remember, you're playing on something like this, that the players had trouble actually telling what they were doing. So like, okay, we got to fix this. So areas were widened, more color contrast was used, Mario himself was changed inside, and they developed that new camera to help solve those problems. It's all good. Negatives. I don't recommend 100%ing this one, because it kind of sucks. This is a problem a couple of Marios have, where you have to get everything in one go. What I mean by that is if you go to 1-3, and you get, 2 of the coins, or whatever, and skip the third one, and don't get the top of the flagpole, you can't then restart the stage, go get the third coin, and succeed. You have to get everything in one go. Otherwise, it doesn't really count for progression. Same thing with the flagpole thing. Now, there are a couple of asterisks on top of this, but it makes going back through and getting stuff just kind of a pain. It also is missing a feature that's been around since 1991. When you re-enter a stage, you can't pause, then back out in order to, and this is important, and retain your progress. What I mean by that is in some previous games and later games, you can go into a stage, grab, say, 2 power-ups, and then leave the stage, or grab Yoshi and leave the stage and go do something else, right? Can't do that here. In order to retain those power-ups, you have to actually beat the stage with them on, because it resets you whenever you leave the stage. It's a couple of little niggles, but it does make, between that and a couple of other little details, like good luck finding some of those coins without a walkthrough, and the fact that some of the harder stages don't have mid-mission checkpoints at all, that'll be something we'll be bringing up soon, just makes 100%ing this game a little bit more irritating than it should be. It didn't feel rewarding to do. I remember distinctly when I sat down and did it. It would have been about 6 years ago at this point. And I remember when I finally got the last coin, I was just like, oh, thank God. But that brings up one last irritation. Because I know what you're thinking. I don't care about 100%ing. First of all, that's valid. I like 100%ing games where it's fun to 100% them. This not being one of them. But the problem there is this game locks a lot of content behind coins. Getting through the initial 8 stages only requires, I think it was 100 coins or something like that, which is relatively easy to come by. Except you have to consider that that's still... I wish I had the numbers in front of me. It's still a large percentage of the amount of coins you can get at that point in time. If you don't understand what I mean, let me put it to you this way. In Mario 64, you need 70 stars to progress, right? In Mario 64 DS, you need 60 stars, out of 120 or 150, respectively. So, a fairly small portion of 100%ing is required to progress. Also, you get stars just for doing stages, regardless of whether or not you do optional stuff. In this game, you need closer to 80% of the coins in the game. I don't remember the exact number. We looked it up. A fairly large portion of the coins in order to progress just through the basic stages. And the coins are optional secondary objectives, not main progress, like finishing the game. Now, 3D World would use the same system, but would smooth out the curve more. So it's much less frustrating to get those stars and to get those stamps in order to progress in that game. And we'll talk about that next. This is something that comes up all the time, but I feel the need to re-emphasize. Because one of the most common types of questions I get is, well, you like X, so why don't you like Y? And the answer is the details. The specific iteration and implementation of an idea is what makes an idea good or bad, right? So, even though 3D Land and 3D World use the same system, 3D World does it well, 3D Land does not. Sense make? That's it, though. If you're not 100%ing, this is a treat. And I highly recommend it, especially if you can get hold of a copy of it. Hope you've enjoyed. We're about to start a new Super Mario Brothers Wii is the next one we're starting up on the live channel. So I hope to see at least some of you there. I'll catch you next time.